Let's take a look at what's going on here. But we have the draft up on screen. Is fight or flight and aerial start here on Oni Village, a map that way less common, especially in Nassel, I would say. But taking a look at one of the picks that stands out immediately, K-Bot, is that Octavia pick on the PPL side. Octavia is one of those characters where, at least in Nassel, has an insane win rate. Typically picked in perfect conditions or favorable conditions, is a character that is feast or famine, thrives on speed, and just being able to live on bigger maps, a lot of open space especially. And we're gonna have to pay close attention to Average Alex this game and see if he can be the person to carry Octavia to another win.
Average Alex has been playing the Octavia on a handful of matches over the course of the day today, and obviously PPL's the team that made it to Grand Finals, so has had some success with it over the course of the day. But yeah, interesting here. You'll also notice that Doxy has been subbed out. Striker Kai is now subbed in for the midfielder for the Rose Petals here, playing the signature Kai pick, as you see the dribble up on the top corner. Really, Mystic, this has been a day back and forth where Rose Petals has been swapping around their roster quite a bit. And while they might have been playing quite for a significantly long time today, they've certainly looked like they're up to the task, even after coming out of NASA playoffs at the tie for 5th.
Yeah, at least one thing that I'm familiar with is the three of the members of, oh my, point goes in, just a strike being sent right back to Fiery from the barrage gave him the opportunity to score there. But continuing my point, the three members of Rose Petals, the ones on the screen right now, have played together before, or at least have scrimmed together. So there is some inherent synergy there, and it looks like Striker Kai being on a signature pick, Twisty as well being on their signature pick, and then Luke on a melee goalie. Luke originally hit rank 1 playing Dubu way back when we had Dubu on ice, the Mom Boots glass cannon thriving meta at a simpler time, K-Bot, at a beautiful time of the game. And these are some really good players, and I want to give a big shout out to Twisty, who has gotten immensely better over the course of OS's timeline, and we've seen that from their performance in Nassel as well. But getting back into the game, enough of the back and forth here, or the extra commentary. KOs are happening left and right. We have 2 members gone immediately. One person coming back, that is Twisty on the Zentaro, as the Juliet has another 5 seconds left. But a good amount of stalling gets... Oh, almost got the last barrier, but we are back to a neutral position here as flying core flips do not connect. Giga Blast come out. Luke sends the donut forward. But on a map like this, K-Bot, it is so hard to break through unless you get the perfect synergy of abilities usually.
And that's probably exactly why PPL are looking to take this, right? They're probably trusting Bloom on the melee goalie to just hold it down, and then having the perfect combination of Fiery and Average Alex, who have constantly been playing together, obviously for the whole season, last season in North American Strikers Academy, and now coming through with it here. Twisty looks for a little flick play, but Bloom's going to core flip it away. So the core will go back out, and once again, welcome to Oni Village. It's been so long since I think I was just thinking about it earlier today, Mystic, and I don't know, you mentioned like the good Giga Blast here from Striker Kai, to be expected, but I was just thinking, I don't know when the last time I've watched a competitive game of Omega Strikers take place on Oni Village. It's been in the map pool for the last little bit here, but it does feel like those old times you mentioned, Mystic.
Yeah, and it feels nice. I think a lot of it just has fallen out of flavor with the introduction of Clarion being a more popular pick in the player, or at least for the players in general. We tend to see that pick come up as a KO from Fiery, using that extra ability, I like to say, for Juliet, which is the energy burst there, comboing the dash punch perfectly to get Luke off the map. Ultimate comes out from Maloom, trying to heal up the team. Average Alex looking to get a play onto the net, decides to go for the shot instead of the pass to Fiery. Going for a play, Fiery's looking low, gets taken out by Twisty, and now we have an offensive play coming out from Rose Petals, but they're still down the barrier.
Still down the barrier, but it does look like They have possession at the moment. Twisty starts wandering a little bit too far away, and Striker Kai will lose it. I think Average Alex hasn't used the flow state in a little while, so that cooldown might be coming back online. Luke very carefully is going to have to get that one out of there before Fiery comes back. Oni's Blade still sent away by Bloom, who also does have an energy burst still. Average Alex in the flow state now. Fiery on the dribble, pass back and forth between the two. Striker Kai going to dump it out to that bottom corner, and the flow state will dissipate. Good strike shot, keeping the play alive here. And again, probably we're at that phase where it's just waiting for cooldowns to come back online. You mentioned it, Mystic, where it's going to take a little bit here for that barrier to come through, but now KO happens. Striker Kai take it off the pitch. Fire at Average Alex might have a chance here, but Luke is going to be able to find the clear once. Average Alex again looking to keep it in the corner, but the primary comes up just short. Fiery just had to try to play the mind games here. Now it goes off the corner again. Can't find the angle to get it into goal. Twisty now, here's the energy burst, finds the barrier despite that expanse going out, and Striker Kai is just going to find the speed lane with the core down on that bottom side. That's going to be Rose Petals taking the lead in set one.
I mean, that was a great play from Twisty, starting all the way from the net on the bottom side there, holding it down. We have a saying in the community, K-Bot, and that is forwards in the net, and Twisty was not a forward in the net today. That point was definitely a goalie in the net in that moment, and Taro holding it down, and then the play to break through Maloom's all of their abilities on Atlas, which is very, very frustrating and not as easy as it seems if you've been playing in the queues. So a phenomenal play to get through that last barrier, and then when Striker Kai came up, allowed them to score the shot on the bottom here. But another quick start in terms of barriers deleted or depleted here on the side of Rose Petals. But this happened last point as well. Not sure how things are going to go through, but Fiery, I'm just taking a look at that energy burst available. We see the Tofu Fortress drop where the donuts come through, and that is a really long cooldown and a strong defensive ability here. So with that gone, but Fiery opting to use it as a KO tool once again. Oh my goodness, I did not expect that to KO. Average Alex using the primary with the extended range on the... Oh, didn't even have the aerials there. Instead had the fight or flight. I honestly surprised that KO'd, but a double KO from the forwards of PPL leads to a 2v1 on the net situation and ties things up.
Well done to find the combination of plays. You know, in Omega Strikers, there is so often a lot of things that could potentially happen to any given point. It's a matter of finding the right winning combination. Sometimes it's as simple as a tight little passing play that's going to mix up your opponent. Sometimes it's just KO them, as it was there for PPL. You know, there's been a surprising amount of KOs so far this one, but now double barriers taken. Average Alex still has the flow state online. Striker Kai has to try to get this one away from Average Alex, and now that flow state will dissipate as Fiery loses the core. Bloom dribbled to themselves. Fiery looking for it. Luke core flips at the last possible moment to dig that one away. And Twisty's just going to primary it dead to the south side of the pitch. Maybe a possession opportunity here in a moment, but it's about to hit overtime. Average Alex now in the flow state. Fiery top corner is going to be able to just guide that core in, stopping it with the Fiery Flurry, and will guarantee the set for PPL.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Fiery even used the punch there, and I think just went into the ultimate to prevent any opportunity from Striker Kai to barrage the core through. I may have seen that incorrectly, but either way, a great sequence from Fiery there allows them to get PPL the set #1 advantage with Fiery in the lead. And I say this on every cast that I'm in, and I emphasize that as much as possible, but the best stat in Omega Strikers is speed, and Fiery picking up the premier speed awakening stacks on stacks here with only a few left in the draft and none in this particular awakening draft, means that Fiery once getting those pancakes stacked up will be eaten good for breakfast and maybe every other meal of the day, because that speed on Juliet is going to be phenomenal. Taking a look at everything else here, nothing too particularly crazy. A lot of good awakenings, but on the wrong or not the ideal striker in general. But one particular thing that I noticed that will be a big help is the missile prop on the Atlas. Just something that makes the strike shot a lot further. It pretty much allows you to strike and participate in the offense from nearly your third of the map, and at the same time that primary reaching so far away. But It looks like, K-Bot, we're going to have plenty of time to discuss whatever we want on this Oni Village game because these barriers and goals are taking quite some time.
It's a melee goalie meta, everybody, and you're seeing why here. The ability usage continues to come out, but, you know, I think PPL probably comes away with that draft most happy, given, as you mentioned, with the extended projectile range and the extra speed on the Juliet, keeping up with average Alex, but now KO happens. Power play opportunity. That one goes right to the hands of Striker Kai. Now keeps up the pressure towards Bloom. Expanse is burned once. Luke doesn't get the strike back up in time, and now is looking to just keep possession. We'll dump it off to Striker Kai, but Fiery gets in the way. And now we'll die back down. Twisty tries to get in the way, but Loom is going to patiently send it just out of reach, and now Twisty is going to have to retreat. Almost getting KO'd. Has to be incredibly careful now at this point. Fiery likely about to come back online with a couple of those abilities to send Twisty away, and exactly the reason why you see the Wandering Zentaro around the midfield line. Fiery, another potential opportunity, but Bertram's still there and has Energy Burst even still. Strike shot down to the bottom side. Striker Kai can't collect. And it feels like there's a lot of opportunities for plays, and now Twisty comes up with the Yai Rush to send that one through. Well done and good timing. A lot of opportunities for plays, it feels like, for the Rose Petals. And it's just a matter of finding those conversions.
Yep. And just to give a little bit of props to Luke and not Bertram here, K-Bot, but doing a good job in the net, holding it down that point. Oh, a KO opportunity comes through, but doesn't end up finding it to completion as Fiery lives a little bit longer. And getting a KO onto Fiery is really big if they manage to get it like they did last point, because that Fiery is on the Juliet with the stacks and the only character that has a stacking awakening at the moment. And speed just is one of those things where if you get KO'd with those stacks on this map, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get it stacked up. You have to blow your abilities, or you tend to get a lot of those stacks while going for the barrier when you're hitting the core with your ultimate and hitting 1 to 2 other people at the same time. That's typically how Juliet will get a lot of those stacks on stacks completely juiced up. But going to the playmaking that you were talking about with Rose Petals, we can see that Striker Kai is level 9, participating in a lot of what is going on in the midfield here. But the one at the end of the day that's been making all the conversions on the barrier and the score is Twisty. And we see once again with a beautiful shot here and perfectly in position to catch it with the primary there. Even though Twisty is the lowest level in this lobby, it feels like all eyes are on Twisty in terms of if Rose Petals score, it cannot be done without Twisty making some sort of play on this Zentaro.
Brawlers get it done, Mystic, and that's exactly why. All a matter of more of those opportunities for Twisty to make an impact. And the reality right now is that Twisty's the slowest striker in the lobby, really relying on those dashes to get around. As you see, that exact play takes that bottom barrier, and an opportunity is made. Of course, both the last barrier is the one that's the trickiest to take on Oni Village, given by the fact that your melee goalie can just sit right on top of it. But now Tofu Fortress comes up with a Teo. Twisty on another power play opportunity, finds the barrier, and now dumps it up to the top side. Now catches it with the Oni's blade, preventing that barrier from going down and covering for the teammate. There's another opportunity, and Striker Kai puts a beautiful timer out there for Twisty to just unleash all of the dashes on. Well done to her. But it will be Striker Kai picking up the MVP for the set and the pick of the litter on this Awakenings draft.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I underestimated myself is the value of Hotshot on Twisty there. It has a similar effect to how Estelle uses her primary to kind of force a shot through the goalie and have the core go so fast that it allows the core to go through while in hit stun. And Twisty is using it in a very similar fashion with that Zentaro rush, the secondary, coming in, locking down Maloom for a second, and then because of that Hotshot's core speed paired with it, the core is getting past Maloom before he has an opportunity to defend properly, and that has led to multiple points and multiple barriers. Oh, a great strike shot from Luke, gotta give him props there. But taking a look at what was drafted here, in set number 2, going into set number 3. We have Size going over to Twisty with the big fish. Heavy impact on Maloom, not really the best thing that you want to see. And oh my goodness, a quick point there. Things are going the way of Rose Petals. We might not get enough time to talk about some other stuff.
What? Mystic, I thought you just said we'd have all the time in the world, as much as we would have wanted.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad it's speeding up, K-Bot, because I'd much rather see a little bit more action coming down on an Oni Village game than me ramble on about awakening statistics and play styles and everything. But if that's what the people are gonna give me with Oni Village, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Well,
but at least we. Oh my goodness! You know what? Back to the game. Back to the game. I've talked enough.
Unfortunate there, as the core will find the net. You know, the one thing that I do want to comment on in terms of Awakening's Mystic is I can't tell if this is a blessing or a curse right now for Rose Petals, but Average Alex has had virtually nothing in the last 2 drafts that was even on the table for an Octavia. No traditional picks that you'd expect to see go over to this striker. And that means that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Average Alex potentially in the next couple sets, right? So attempting to try to minimize Average Alex's performance in these next couple sets, but also I think it puts a greater importance on this set for the Rose Petals going their way, denying that, you know, making sure that they only need to win one more after this, where this Octavia can really start coming online.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said, where Octavia, win or lose this set, we're going to start seeing Octavia Awakenings come through, and it's going to be hard to deny, especially if Average Alex is high in the pool, regardless of if PPL win this set or not. But to win the game, they need to win 2 more sets. And I'm not sure if Rose Petals are going to give them that opportunity, because now we're at set point once again. Things are kind of heating up as PPL not converting as quick as they were before, able to break down the barriers like normal, but the difference here is Rose Petals, the combination of Striker Kai and Twisty, have been finding way more success on the barriers, and that's been leading to points immediately. This is almost like every point where Rose Petals lose their barrier first, but it is them following it up immediately with aggression, getting the barriers down, and then scoring on Maloom, regardless of how long their net's been open.
As soon as Twisty's cooldowns come online, she can go to the complete opposite side of the pitch on this Zentaro with just one singular dash awakening. And it means that those breakaway plays can turn around in an instant, assuming that the Zentaro has those cooldowns online. Fiery with the dribble play. Luke has seen that one a million times over and won't be phased. Striker Kai trying to get this one down to the bottom corner. And Twisty hanging around that midfield line for the little bit of an extra speed boost that she can receive. Overtime now. Gigablast comes out. Twisty comes up just a little bit shy. Wasn't calculating for the transition into overtime there. Strike shot as Luke tries to keep it away, and now trying to collect. Good pass. Trying to keep possession here for the Rose Petals, but it is incredibly difficult. Now, here's another opportunity. Twisty, though. Nice Oni's Blade. Again, used on the defensive side, but what other cooldowns does this team have available, especially with Fiery breathing down their necks? Don't have anything there, as finally Fiery will come in with the dash, and we're heading to point 10 this set.
Yeah, and Striker Kai just barely missing the Giga Blast there. It doesn't even confirm that it would have stopped firing in that opportunity, but regardless, Fiery finding the angle, finding the way through, and scoring onto Striker Kai, trying to get it from the opposite side of Luke as much as possible there. And we can see Fiery is close to that energy burst once again, and with the way he's been using it as a method of KOing, that might be what PPL needs. But this is the first time in a while that the net of PPL has dropped before Rose Petals, and a good save from Maloom keeps it alive here. But now it is looking tough, and the Dubu rollout goes down to the midfield, or goes down to the middle of the goal, opening up the path for Fiery. Unable to stun it, tries to probably stun it on the spot here, or expecting a instant shot off the flip. Predicted wrong, unfortunately, and now Octavia is up first. Taking a look here, it's not really Octavia awakenings regardless, but the Super Surge is a secondary awakening here that the Octavia can take, and that is 70% faster Octavia, right? Or is it 75% of faster Octavia now, which is something that Average Alex has got to be happy with. And the fact that if they lose this K-Bot, it means that it is Average Alex's pickings because we still haven't seen like peak performance, stagger swagger, Castellast. None of those things have showed up.
That's what I'm saying. This is going to be very scary in these last two sets, particularly. And remember that Rose Petals have to win both of them in order to come out on top. Also in that draft, all 4 sparks were present, Mystic. That means the last 2 players had to pick up a spark that'll basically be mostly dead weight. You won't have the opportunity to take another one in the drafts to come. So we'll see whether or not they can capitalize here.
At least it gives them some stats. It's weaker than having, an awakening that you want in the moment, but not a completely useless awakening like Julie taking a creation awakening or something along those lines. But regardless, taking a look at the draft here, PPL got to be happy. We have Timeless Creator picked up for Maloom, which is going to make those secondaries last even longer. And if you can predict a KO opportunity, or maybe just mistime it. Oh my goodness, rare. Was not expecting that from Luke, just barely missing the strike there. Wasn't close enough to it when beginning that strike, so allowing the gold to go in or the barrier to fall as the aggression is still coming through. Fiery has that ultimate ability, or has the core flip and flips it immediately, gets it through Luke there. Twisty unable to catch it with the ultimate. The Oni's blade not fast enough. And now that is a 1-point lead in what could be the final set of this first game.
Mystic, that core was going so unbelievably fast. It feels like the energy bursts here are making the difference. You saw it get barriers earlier. Maloom attempted to pull it out, but was a little bit slow on that reaction. Then, of course, Fiery ends up pulling the trigger there, but PPL now has burned all of those energy bursts, and really we're down to about middle here. No one really has that big of an advantage, although Striker Kai will more quickly build up his own with that Catalyst pickup in the last Awakenings draft. And you'll notice here too, Striker Kai trying to just keep the core away from everyone else rather than trying to get it to Twisty. Knows that there might be opportunities, but that was not the right one in order to go for the offensive play. Even still, barrier will fall. Average Alex now in the flow state, starting to build up that speed, trying to go on the dribble play. Luke almost waits a little bit too long. We'll clear it out before it hits the goal line. But the flow state will dissipate. Fiery now potentially has an opportunity here. Core going to get out in front of him. Now we're in overtime again. Average Alex up to Fiery. Here's the Fiery Flurry, but Striker Kai's back with an energy burst to keep it away. And now the expanse comes through. Twisty just a little bit shy on that rush in. And now an opportunity. Luke on the misdirection there, going to send it right back up the other way. Twisty finds the barrier, but the core goes right back the other way. On the speed lane, just a bullet train back the other direction. And it finds the net, finds the hands of Fiery, and it is match point now for PPL.
When you have Fiery coming past with a strike on, or even a hit on anyone coming through that midfield, pairing the Mag Souls with the Spark of Agility, even though it is just a measly 6% there, and then on top of that, paired with the 150% on the stacks and stacks, or the 150 stacks fully stacked up there, it is a massive amount of speed, and we can see how much of a difference it makes. Fiery is just able to be wherever he wants at any time. This is kind of the build that Octavia wants, but instead it's on Fiery on this Juliet here, and Average Alex is on more of the supporting cast this time around, as Fiery is going for another play if PPL gets this, and that's that missile prop shot coming in, the strike shot coming through, but the Zentaro passive not enough, gets one ability out, tries to pass it over to Striker Kai, isn't getting there, and oh my goodness, a great ultimate from Maloom gets it, and the KO onto Twisty, 2v1 at the net. Are they able to defend it? Luke with a phenomenal save, gets it through both of them, and it's going to be a 2v2, trying to hold it down as long as possible until Twisty can come up. K-Bot, it might be it, and it is it for game one.
Tofu Fortress out, but just a little bit late. Unfortunately, there was a gap there that the core comes through, and it lines it up just perfectly for Fiery to find that punch in. Mystic, I do think you called it out there. Fiery was moving awfully quick on that Juliet, and your Zentaro can dash around all he wants to, but at the end of the day, that consistent speed, especially on a map like Oni Village, is going to be most often what gets the job done. The other thing is that there was hardly any, I think there was one KO, and that was at the very end against Twisty. Aside from that, there was hardly any KO pressure in that last point. That could have reset the stacks for Fiery, limited some of that speed, but it just wasn't the priority with the core moving so fast as it was.
When you have the core moving that fast, and then at the same time you have Fiery moving that fast, paired with the beautiful save from Malum just one time, right? It's always like one KO can make the difference. And when your goalie is able to resurrect them from the afterlife, prevent them from being sent over, it makes a huge difference on how the play is going to turn around, right? That could have been, rather than a 2v1 on Luke, it could have been a 2v2 with one person eliminated. I believe it could have been Average Alex that was taken out in that exact moment. And these small plays, 6 KOs here, which is quite a bit for an Oni Village game, especially with all
Yeah.
the speed and not really that much damage being taken. But the speed just becomes overwhelming. And when you don't have a damage build, really, you can't target someone as much. It's just a matter of, are they happening to get hit by some abilities here and there? Okay, now I can look for an opportunity to KO them. So unless it's a quick knockback KO, something that Juliet can do that can catch a goalie off guard, I don't think they would have been in a position to find an easy KO onto someone without Maluma at least having the ultimate and having an opportunity to react. Whether he got the reaction or not would have been a different story.
And well, I will say if it's a matter of whether or not Bloom can react, he sure was reacting quite well in that last game.
Mm.
So I imagine would have come out on top there regardless. Now, of course, we go to the Rose map pick, which is Atlas's lab. Potential opportunity maybe for a little bit more damage, slightly less open and slightly less fast map. And I don't know whether or not we'll see Average Alex maintain this idea of the Octavia. Of course, has been played multiple times today on this start. I imagine probably not, though. Spark of Strength, missile propulsion here on Atlas's lab.
Taking a look, we might see a. I don't know if PPL is going to ban the Atlas here. They might just ban something else out of Luke specifically, and then opt to take the Atlas themselves, actually targeting down the Amy away from Rose Petals, which I'm not sure how much of an Amy striker Kai has, but that could be a takeaway from either the midfield or the goalie.
Yeah.
Takes away a strong person in that midfield position there, or in general, especially paired with that missile prop. And instead, we're going to be targeting the Juliet that had such a strong performance away from Fiery, which is most likely going to lean us into the Atlas first pick that I was going to get around to.
There it is.
That paired with the missile prop, we saw how effective it was. The strike shot missile prop combination. You have so much pressure as a melee goalie sitting on your barrier. And let's see what they counterpick here with on Rose's side. But it might just be another Dubu lock-in plus some sort of... I mean...
The Kai's up, Mystic.
The Kai is up. Just put the Kai in the bag.
Put the Kai in the bag. Let's move on. There it is. Paired with the Kazan. This time, though, very likely for Twisty here. Similar idea, even still, right? Maybe, I don't know, is Kazan a better Spark user than Zentaro? I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I guess maybe with if you get Spark of Focus, right, with the cooldowns.
It's interesting. I don't know if this is just a preference pick here. I think the Zentaro was doing really well. It just came down to that final set, or just these like small interactions, Fiery getting a little bit out of hand with the speed. But I don't think Rose Petals were playing poorly enough to justify the swap off, or this being such a better opportunity for Kazan. I don't think Kazan is bad here at all. But I thought Twisty was playing really, really well. And I'm surprised to see them swap off in this particular situation. And we have the Mako picked up last. No Dubu, instead just going with one of the two stronger characters in that melee lockdown role, being the Mako and the Atlas. And since the Atlas is on PPL's side, it's going to be Rose Petals taking the Mako. And I think maybe that in particular is what's going to make it slightly better for the Kazan, pairing it with the Mako.
Yeah. We'll see, of course, whether or not that's going to come through. I mean, the other thing that I want to talk about here, Average Alex now on this rune in the midfield. Of course, we've seen the rune come up. It had actually a very strong presence a couple of weeks ago, it felt like. And it kind of died off in popularity, or I don't know, maybe it was like 2 months ago and I'm just blurring my time together. Died off a little bit in popularity, but this pick is still incredibly strong. Interesting to see it, I guess, in this draft. Maybe you go missile propulsion for the banish, maybe.
So as someone who has lost many games of Rune and have put in my time into the blender to get at least some amount of mastery over this character, I do think the Spark is a better choice. Spark Rune is one of those characters where he can get really out of hand. The stats that Rune likes is essentially every single spark. Rune likes power because it leads into the pillars or the anomalies shooting the core back fast, right? It has that hot shot sort of effect when you build a lot of power. When you have the Monu and the Siege Machine and some power here and there, you can get a similar red core reaction without having the hot shot. Rune wants CDR. Rune absolutely loves prime time and rapid fire and perfect form and things like that, even heavy impact. And then Rune loves speed too. One of Rune's biggest weaknesses prior to his popularity was not having enough speed to compete with all the midfield characters who were really fast, like the Kai. But Rune did end up getting that speed buff, and Kai got that speed nerf. And now we're in a situation where Rune can compete, has some damage here. Actually, taking a look, let me double check. He took that, and oh my goodness, yeah, took the spark, got the KO, got the double kill, and now this is a Rune sweep coming through for PPL.
The extra damage coming through. The Fiery actually isn't going to be able to put the core away. Luke sends it away, looking for maybe another KO. The second the Twisty comes back up. But no, not this time. And the double power play will not be converted this time around.
Ooh,
now the
shot.
passing play comes through. Good placement from both Alex and Fiery to put that one through.
Yeah, and these drafts are going to get really snowbally depending on who has the advantage in the pick order because of the 4 spark start on these forwards here. So let's see if Rose Petal can manage to get a high placement in the draft, even if it means... The thing that is always sucks when you're in one of these Awakening drafts with a spark, oh my goodness, getting around and getting it through the Mako secondary there. But it always, oh my goodness, the missile prop KO. Let me finish my point. These guys are going
You're not
crazy.
allowed.
I'm not allowed. But you know what?
Ugh.
I'll wait till next point. I'll wait the next point.
Good start by Fiery. Makes that one very difficult for Luke. Still has the energy burst online. We're going to need to see a lot more of a presence out of the forwards here on Rose Petals for this one to go the other way, and we find it immediately here at this point. Twisty finds both barriers. Now Striker Kai looking to set it up, but Average Alex actually gonna shadow swap up to the top side. Luke still has this energy burst online here as well. Will be forced to use it as the strike shot comes in from Maloom from the other side of the pitch. Average Alex tries to help out here with those anomalies. And Twisty tries to dive into this play, but it feels like right now, just a little bit slow or the side of the Rose Petals. Banish comes through. Average Alex looks to try to send this one through. Fiery, though. Good to use the primary ahead of using the strike, and we'll be able to set it through both defenders on the goal line. That's a 3-0 sweep for PPL up first.
And taking a look, there is a spark here, and it's in the perfect situation where it is just one spark available. It means you still have access on Fiery to get 2 more sparks. That means no one on Rose Petals is getting another spark on this particular draft. Taking a look at everything else here, not really sure what Striker Kai wants in this situation. Rapid Fire going over to Maloom. I think Primetime also would have been a great pick. Honestly, I think Primetime would have been a slightly better pick. And then leaving up the rapid fire for the Rune instead. But we have the aerials picked up, Size going over to Kazan. I think everyone is particularly happy. The Rune aerials gets value out of every part of the stat, but it's just one of those things where definitely not the best Awakening. We talked about a little bit earlier, the missile prop working on the Banish there, so it will help the Banish reach further. Oh my goodness, not reacting fast enough to get that KO or to get the res there, which means we're going to have 8 more seconds of a 2v3 if Striker Kai plus Twisty are enough to get this. Break the middle. Twisty's looking low, but has to fall back, or I should say fall forward, to get that health pack on the enemy side behind enemy lines. Going for the play, unable to reach it with the crooked leverage, comes down, finally gets it through. I think it's been quite some time since we saw the goal gates open, and a nice Giga from Striker Kai sends it, or blasts it, right into the net.
Gets the job done, and that's the thing you've got to look out for with those errant Giga blasts. You think they're unassuming, and then the core just happens to hit it, and it sends it right towards the goal box, the exact angle you didn't want. Good Banish on the core is going to convert the first barrier here for the Rose Petals as well. Striker Kai does have an energy burst again. looking to try to keep the core away. And now Twisty also joins the party. One barrier will fall. Fiery tries to collapse on this incredibly well. Energy Burst will be forced out of Striker Kai, who will send it into the gravity well. Crooked Leverage pulls it back to Luke. Possession, though, is lost by the Rose Petals, and we're back as our melee goalies defend one barrier on each side.
The melee goalies doing what they do best. Oh, what a great Crooked Leverage. Pulls it out of Maloom's grasp. Manages to get the final barrier here, and now we have another opportunity for Rose Petals. But Fiery trying to come up and get that opportunity on the net here. A good dash. Crooked Leverage combo gets another attempt, but it's not enough as PPL still able to hold it down here. Luke going for the flip, gets it from downtown. The perfect line, getting the shot right. It's like pixel perfect as Maloom's expanse does not contact with it whatsoever, and that is a 2-0 lead.
It's tangential.
That is, we're using math. I'm an engineer and I don't use that word in my daily life. K-bot.
Well, I feel like that's a Common Core high school word, though.
Yeah,
right?
well, I graduated in 2015, so.
Oh no! Double barriers taken here by the Rose Petals. Average Alex will find a banish onto one, and Twisty is just going to get chunked down almost completely. Has to play this one incredibly carefully now, but pulls it back with a Crooked Leverage. Now dumps it back out to Striker Kai, who now is the other one that is low. Has to be careful. Gets KO'd to the corner. Taken down there. Fiery will have the strike to send it into the Energy Burst. Of course, going to get out away from him as Luke continues to keep up this projectile game quite well. Striker Kai back online, will be able to bail the core out. Here comes Twisty up to the top side. Crooked Leverage. No, just hits that corner. And Bloom's got the Energy Burst to send it away as well. Oh, no, it just drifts away just out of reach to the other goal.
And
so
no
PPL will find
shot.
one.
No strike shot. Yeah, available there for Luke. But bringing things back just slightly now. A 1-2 set score. But we are seeing a KO immediately come out here. And I think that was the Atlas that got the... Well, it was a combination of both Fiery and the Atlas. Getting both primaries off from each character, combining. Oh, I like the play that Average Alex goes for, trying to get a little bit of an angle shot there with the rebound from, or I should say the playmaking ability from the pillar. But as I say that, the goalie is gone, and now we have forwards in the net. But I know both of these people play a little bit of goalie, but it's not enough to hold it down against the barrage of Striker Kai and Twisty, as they find the path through, getting them their first set score on this game. And things have been going quite back and forth, right? Like set one was very PPL advantage and dominant, and now a big turnaround as Rose Petals looking immediately better here on set number 2. As the second Size Awakening going over to Twisty, and Hotshot picked up for Maloom, which is going to be a phenomenal pickup there regardless. Another spark goes over, and that is a spark denied from Fiery. Fiery will no longer be able to get 4 sparks this game, and now we have 2 sparks apiece on each side, or I should say a striker with 2 sparks apiece on each side.
Second Dash Awakening for Average Alex, picking up the explosive entrance, although there wasn't much up by the time that it got to the end. Also, Fiery going for the heavy impact for even more damage. I assume, I guess, numbers-wise, in comparison to Might of the Colossus, which would have been a little bit of extra size on the Asher, maybe looking for something else later. But of course, with 3 Size Awakenings already out of the pool, difficult to buy in for Might of the Colossus. And Fiery looks plenty healthy now in terms of stagger after that Spark of Resilience pickup previously. We'll see where this one goes here, especially with Maloom picking up that Hotshot too, right? Missile propulsion Hotshot Atlas means that he can have an incredibly strong impact on the offensive side of the pitch, despite that being something you don't necessarily think of from this Atlas.
Yep, just being able to send it out with the primary, participating from so far away, right? The strike shot does not advance or get any benefit from that hot shot, but the primary does, and so does the expanse. If you get something like a Monu as well, it's going to make it really hard there. But that is the missile prop shot coming down, the strike shot coming through. But Striker Kai using that blazing pace to catch up to the core at the final moment here. but things are going back and forth. Everyone is managing to save it. A really close call on each side. Energy burst available, 2 for the side of Rose Petals, 1 being popped, and a quick back and forth. Twisty advantage in this situation as Maloom tries to send it down there. But the way Kazan works with that very unique strike hitbox, the vertical length of it is just so long that you are able to reach way further than any other striker in this game, especially paired with two additional size awakenings.
Good use of that. Press the point. Now, though, the double barrier is actually taken despite being a Kai down for the Rose Petals. Luke tries to get it up to Twisty, but loses both barriers in the process. Crooked leverage for Twisty. He's going to try to send this back to the midfield, as now the gravity will explode. Striker Kai's got to be careful, otherwise he's going to get taken down yet again. The energy burst use comes out, but it doesn't find the core. Twisty now tries to pull it back in. The expanse has already been burned. Looks for the shot, but doesn't find it. It's still stuck there in the corner. Striker Kai collects with the barrage. Can't find it. Now the gravity well comes out. Stuns Twisty there for a second, and now tries to get this one through the corner again. Sent away by Mloom. Strike shot usage. Here comes the banish. KO potentially coming out. Pat Splitter burnt out of Fiery even. Looking for that one and providing even more trouble for this Kazan. But there's the crooked leverage to pull it down to the bottom corner. Well done by Twisty and the Rose Petals here. They're on set point and could take the lead here on the next one.
Yeah, potentially bringing things to game 3 and potentially another series all over if things go that way. And if PPL don't want to keep playing the games, they're going to have to step up. They were looking really strong here in set number 1, but as set number 2 and 3 come through, it is a pedal-dominated performance coming between Striker Kai, Twisty. I think one of those things where Kazan just gets out of hand when you get one more size awakening. Each size awakening is just exponentially more frustrating to play with. We saw the way the crooked leverage just reaches out of Maloom's grasp, and oh my goodness, a nice barrier take there. A good set of strikes between Average Alex and Fiery managed to find their way onto the net as Twisty gets the KO. That size helping once again with the top spin. And now we have the barrage coming through as the expanse closes ever so slightly, opening the gap. And that is another set going to Rose Petals.
One thing that the Rose Petals forwards are doing exceptionally well are they are punishing Mloom when those expanses are burned. The second that there is an opening after that expanse, they are oh so good at capitalizing on it. What do we see here? Spark of Focus is up. It actually is going to get taken by Striker Kai, who's the one that has 3 sparks now. Spark of Focus being that last one. So all of those are out of the pool. And what did I just call out, Mystic? It's already answered with the Twin Drive pickup from Loom.
Right, and what you were just mentioning that, or how you were saying the way Rose Petals are taking advantage of the expanse being on cooldown. Well, how do you help that out? Having 2 expanses. So now maybe things ease up a little bit, but Striker Kai is feeling great after this draft, has 3 of the sparks as long as they can live. As I say, that gets taken out from the banish combo with the anomaly paired out for the knockback. But one of the things that is nice is the damage coming through, at least the raw damage coming through from PPL isn't that high, so Striker Kai definitely isn't too worried. Oh my goodness, Striker Kai, stop going off the map when I'm talking about the strengths of your character and your build. Okay, I was gonna say that not having a lot of stagger doesn't matter that much because the other 3 stats are more important, and PPL aren't getting stagger KOs, but they keep getting the knockback KOs, and that's the thing that Striker Kai needs to oh my goodness, I think that was like a self-report there from Striker Kai as the gravity well exploded and sent the core backwards. Either way, with all the KOs that are happening and everything that has just went through, it is an even playing field at the moment.
And open nets on both sides, but Fiery will come up with a denial with that Azure primary. It sure does feel like this is still anyone's game. We've seen PPL come back to take games much like this one, especially when the wind is in their sails. They've got 2, nearly 3 energy bursts online for this next point. There it is. The 3rd one comes through. Twisty taken down to no stagger. He'll have to retreat to pick up this orb, and that's just going to mean possession can be maintained for PPL, but Striker Kai might have something to say for that. Will start trying to push the issue. Won't find a barrier for the trouble this time, though. Barrage comes out here. Nice anomaly setup, actually. It's going to send this one to the south side of the pitch. Twisty will collect with the top spin. And the drum and bass from Luke powering up those forwards. But they're both hit with the banish. That provides an opportunity, but Fiery comes up just shy. Doesn't matter. It comes right back to him thanks to the Shadow Swap, and the Pat Splitter drives right on through on that airship. We could be going to a set 5 here soon, Mystic.
Yeah, and if it does go to a set 5 here, and for example, if Fiery, who has a lot of staggered because of the 2 sparks, manages to get something like the peak performance, it can end up going really favorable for them. But as I say that, before I get to finish the sentence, both barriers drop as Twisty looks for the score with the crooked leverage, isn't able to connect here, but a great flip, managed to get it through, stop the expanse perfectly in time, and then the strike shot timing, or just the strike timing in general, just off for Maloom, but understandably so, in the face of a powerful energy burst coming through, as Striker Kai starting this point off really aggressively, coming through with the banish, or I should say the barrage, a KO onto Twisty there, gone. Pancakes reset as well, which is a really big thing here. Let's see if PPL can take advantage of this, K-Bot.
You know, one person who's been pretty quiet in this game so far has been Luke. You don't really see Makos get very involved, but at this point, Luke now has 2 projectile range awakenings and 2 speed awakenings, meaning that he can be much more involved than most other Makos can, and you see some of those projectiles start flying across the pitch. Luke is trying his best to help out on the offensive side. We'll see whether or not PPL can try to capitalize on that if Luke focuses too much on that offense.
Yeah, and one of the benefits of having all that extra missile distance or projectile range is Mako can just, doesn't need to do damage, but Mako can just be really annoying by sending out projectiles over and hit stunning the goalie at, you know, premier times when they're trying to defend, and just small hit stuns here and there end up being plenty to help break the barriers, to help score the goal. As a denied energy burst comes through from Twisty, the pillars, the anomalies coming back and forth as the Astra secondary tries to redirect it over to Average Alex. The banish comes through, paired with that extra special, isn't able to get it. Gravity Well exploded. A nice primary there to stop the strike shot from sending it past through Fiery. And in overtime, it's not like Oni Village here. Things will happen, barriers will fall, but it's going to be a matter of time between, or it's going to be a matter of time before we see either a barrier fall or a goal gets scored right now.
All 3 members of PPL in the goal box now, and that's going to be the Striker Kai goes down, right coming after that banish. Power play opportunity now, but Twisty pulls through the core back with the crooked leverage, tries to just keep possession for so long, and Luke has that energy burst on the other side of the pitch as well. Bloom doesn't quite get the play that he wants to there, and burns one of those expanse charges. And meanwhile, Striker Kai is going to come back online. Quick pass up to Twisty, now trying to find the dribble to keep this play alive. Striker Kai is going to miss the strike that time. Now tries to escort the core down with the barrage, but the expanse comes through to send it away. And the defense is continuing to hold for PPL, thanks in no small part to Bloom, and Fiery is just going to send one through. Everything that they tried to do on the defensive side, PPL are 1 set away from being your pick your poison champion.
Okay, taking a look at what we have here. So if I'm Average Alex, I'm playing for my team, and that means I'm taking Among Titans there. And I'm giving size to both my goalie and my forward. I'm taking the 15% speed for myself. I think that hesitation there, I'm not going to say it's going to cost them, but it definitely isn't ideal. You have the build different going over to the Asher, which I guess is fair, right? Like, the peak performance would have been really nice, but if Twisty got a 3rd awakening, it would have been real rough. At the same time here, I think you're pretty happy with this draft. I'm just a really big fan of Among Titans on Rune in particular. You tend not to strike as much as just try to reposition yourself in a way to use your anomalies to strike instead. But a double barrier immediately as it goes behind the back of both barriers. Unfortunate with how the balances ended up going through. Average Alex just trying to do their best. Fiery gets the KO, at least relieves them of some tempo, some tension here, and now trying to go on the offense. But a good save from Luke. The drum and bass just doing what it does best, holding it down and getting, oh my goodness. And that is what you were talking about, K-Bot. All that extra projectile range coming through right on the strike shot.
Luke from downtown does not want to stop playing Omega Strikers this evening, Mystic. Plenty more this day, I should say. We're now on nearly hour 9 for these players of the Rose Petals, who have continued to run through the losers bracket, making it to this point. May I remind you, not only do they have to win this next set, they also need to win another game before going to another set entirely.
Yep.
As the bracket will reset. Feels like a monumental task at this point, but they might have it in them based on what we've seen so far. Twisty's going to find the final barrier here. Fiery, though, might have a breakaway play. Sets it up with the Path Splitter, but Luke's going to shut it down with the Energy Burst. Average Alex is there to try to interrupt things, but now Luke's coming forward. Tries to come up with the Ensnare Drum play, but it ends up going through the enemy goal box. Vanish comes through here. Striker Kai now. Energy Burst. Twisty almost ready for it. Gets stunned away by Bloom's projection. Good use of that projectile in particular. Twisty tries coming up with it again, but all three members of PPL, somehow there is always a member of PPL on top of Twisty when she's trying to get the job done. Striker Kai is going to go down yet again, and another power play opportunity is found for PPL, but Luke will still find a way to hold. No, the barrier finally falls, bounces off the goal gate as they're retracting. Striker Kai back online. Here's the Energy Burst. Fiery, maybe an opportunity here. Luke is sitting on the goal line, but obviously that primary has already been burned. The Monumentalist this time of that expanse is going to be what keeps the core away. Striker Kai once more looking for the pass up to Twisty. There's another use of that expanse, stunning Twisty and not letting her do the brawler thing of striking the core into the net. So back and forth here so far, Mystic.
Yeah, I was gonna say Twisty, while banished there, actually got saved by just the way the core was going. It stopped Average Alex from placing down a pillar. It didn't form completely and save them, but oh my goodness, overtime, Kai coming through, just a simple strike, unable to get. I'm actually surprised what happened. Okay, so he was stuck in expanse animation there, just a little too slow. Had the right idea because a strike up could have been stopped by the barrage. So instead opted in for the expanse, but just wasn't quick enough to catch it. And now another point lead. This is game point for Rose Petals. And like you said, if they win this, they gotta play so much more. But it starts with this next point, so 1 point at a time, seeing if they can manage to get it. And even with all the KOs coming through from PPL, I feel like Striker Kai, unfortunately, is never on the screen. But as I say that, all three members were up for this play. As Twisty jumps through with that secondary, doesn't use any additional abilities, just manages to catch the strike on Maloom and sends it through. And that is 1-1 in the loser series of this grand finals.
Mystic, it does not matter whether or not Striker Kai is up on the map all of the time. What matters is whether or not Striker Kai can deliver the core perfectly to Twisty so that she can get it done, finally in an opportunity where there were no members of PPL to bully her around with abilities. That one was pretty intense. Another set 5 here today as the tournament continues to deliver incredibly well. How about Fiery in that last game? 6 goals, 8 KOs, 34,000 damage. You don't typically see that high of a damage on an Asher that's not focusing damage awakenings and things like that. Still came up with some of those KOs, catching Striker Kai off guard. But even still, Luke's able to hold it down and Twisty's able to get it done.
Yeah, it was a lot of power from Fiery there on the Asher, right? We had 2 sparks, Spark of Strength and Spark of Rezeal, paired with the heavy impact as well, which was getting a lot of KOs. The Asher primary is an impact, and I think Striker Kai was caught off guard a lot by how much distance or how much knockback that ability had behind it. And we saw the way it shifted, right? That set 1, Fiery getting that first spark, but as the moment they lose one set and Fiery isn't at the top of the chain, and someone isn't able to deny, or even with the loss in set number 2, Fiery still wasn't the first pick on the side of PPL, which meant that Striker Kai was able to get their spark rolling, got their second spark, and then got the third spark after that. And those were 3 sparks. We had spark of strength, spark of agility, and spark of uh, cooldown CDR glasses
Focus.
focus. There we go. Thank you. And those are the 3 sparks that have the most impact, right? Like Resil is nice, it pairs with peak performance, but when you aren't really dying to anything but knockback, it doesn't really have much of an effect. And Striker Kai was able to use the 3 best in that particular scenario stats of Spark to as much advantage as they could. And Twisty paired that with 3 Size Awakenings, 2 Size Awakenings. I can't remember. Either
I
way,
think it was 2. Well, it was
2, but
demo,
was
so it
among Titans,
yeah.
right? Yep.
Who picked up Among Titans? I actually don't remember.
It was Luke. So
was it Luke?
It was
so
Average
it was
Alex
Luke.
who had first pick opportunity to take it. Instead,
That's right.
opted in for the peak performance. Luke got the Among Titans, and then Fiery picked up the build difference. I think it was still, it's all hindsight and it's all these small things. I'm still a fan of Average Alex in that moment, taking the Among Titans, and then Fiery still taking the build difference. I think Asher is also one of those characters similar to Kazan that benefits exponentially with each Size Awakening. So more and more size on Asher would have been phenomenal. And even with all the KOs and the pressures like we were talking about, Rose Petals managed to pull their way through. And now we're going over to game 3, which is going to be on Taiko Temple.
Taiko Temple, a map where these creation characters that PPL were playing obviously have notoriously tended to rule in terms of priority picks. You think about the Rune, you think about Asher, and those sorts of things. Whether or not Striker Kai is going to maintain the Kai, I mean, like, it's in the name, so you would think, right? But even still, right, there's potential opportunities here for things to be more easily shut down with that permanent center drum on one side of the map or the other, just with a simple creation. So could see some potential mix-ups here, Mystic. What do you think, though, if you're Rose Petals, right? Not only have you been playing for 9 hours today, but now you have to think about how to win this next game so that you can get yourself to a 6th potential set of competitive Omega Strikers today. What are you thinking about in order to get there?
One game at a time, K-Bot, and I think that's the mentality you got to go with. Just focus on the game at hand, and they're very, very clearly in it to win it, right? They haven't lost the steam. We've seen them. They just performed amazing in this game number 2 here, and even in game number 1 was a close game. So if the momentum is going their way, game number 3 is going to be, in their favor to take it. And PPL are going to have to put the brakes on right now if they want to stop the avalanche from starting.
Have to be careful now as we get into Striker Select. It's Asher, and this time the Atlas ban that you were thinking about last time. Potentially there, Mystic, for PPL. That means that most likely Luke is going to be on this Mako, locking it in as the first pick overall. And now we've got this Now and X combination for PPL.
Yeah, seeing with how blue side, red side plays out, this time PPL don't have the blue side advantage, so instead opting in to ban away the Atlas and then going to choose something else. We have the Now X pair, most likely going to be Average Alex on that Now, and then X for Fiery here. And the goalie pick, honestly, with Mako and Atlas and Asher out of the pool, I think Dubu looks pretty good in this particular situation, but can also go for... No, it is the Dubu. So Dubu locked in for PPL. We're going to see Maloom on that. And instead, we do see, for Rose Petal, surprisingly enough, an Octavia pickup.
Yeah. I just looked at that with like a, really? So Striker Kai now going over to this Octavia again. Very high win rate for the players in these leagues that know how to play this striker. And I mean, hey, Mystic, pretty good start for Octavia. Not like best in the world, but like you either take stacks here for the little bit of extra speed, or you take Twin Drive, more opportunities to build up that speed even more, right? And almost always be in that flow state.
Yeah, this is the map where it might be a little bit tricky to get those stacks up. I don't think getting stacks is wrong, but like you said, having multiple ability usages of the secondary there of the flow state might be handy. You just kind of get in these situations where in that exact moment you want a flow state, and it'd be nice if you had an extra one charging up in the back. So let's see if they end up opting in for the pancakes start instead. But regardless, we have a speed start with most likely the goalies taking the twin drive in this situation and everyone else taking pancakes.
Now, Mystic, we haven't seen a lot of it today, but last week we saw a decent chunk of X played in the brawler position over the course of the day for NASL playoffs. And what I was always saying in the behind the scenes calls is, gang, it is set 1X. It is set 2X. This is a brawler that is not going to pick up the pace early on, and especially paired with a midfielder like Now, I could very much see a possibility here where it's going to be very Rose-sided for first early sets, and whether or not they can fully capitalize on that while this X is in a weaker state before some of those really impactful awakenings come online, that will definitely be a key to victory here for the Rose Petals.
Yeah, and we've said it in our groups as well, K-Bot. Set 1X, X is online now after getting 1, 2, 3 awakenings and then having that speed paired with the Now. But one of the things that X does best is the stuffing pressure you have when paired with the X Maximus, the Bull Rush, and then also the Bell Ringer, right? All these abilities that work really well when paired with speed and size that cover a lot of area, a lot of surface area of this map. But one thing that I'll give you a little bit of, I guess, opinion from Barcode. He is actually a big fan of Mako into X and thinks that the matchup is very favorable for the Mako compared to other brawlers.
Well, interesting tidbit there for Barcode, current NASL champion, just crowned last week with Showtime. Shout out to them, and reminder that you too can be a part of the league circuit. That's exactly what everyone here is training to be a part of. All of these teams were invited based off of their NASA or NAST appearances, both the Tier 2 and Tier 3 leagues for Omega Strikers. So even if you play the open qualifiers and you do well enough, you can get invited to a league play format. Launchpad will start at the end of March, and there will be 3 tournaments where you'll be able to qualify for the future endeavors of that league. So be sure to sign up, get your team together for Launchpad if you don't currently have a slot in participating in one of these leagues. Fiery looking for the mix-up there. Not able to find it, and we'll see where the rest of this comes out, because one of the notes about that in regards to the leagues, right, PPL certainly looking like they can make a run towards NASL right now, Mystic, even if they let a couple goals go in here early.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams looking really strong. And with NASL, I'm not going to say anything until the teams themselves make it official, but the rumblings behind the scenes of the change-ups in the rosters or some rosters not playing means there's spots opening up for some of these new, I don't want to call them new players, but some of these teams that haven't really gotten time to shine yet, that are catching up to the skill level of all the other NASL teams, and they're looking for their shot to compete with the best.
Exactly why tournaments like this are so important, to continue playing against those teams in your own skill bracket, and having those opportunities for teams such as Rose Petals, who didn't have the strongest of showings 2 weeks ago, now has an opportunity here to do something incredibly miraculous. And it's looking like they're going to take this first set at the bare minimum. We'll see what awakenings come up in this next draft, because again, that'll be largely what dictates the pace of this, although almost regardless of what those drafts look like, you can count on the fact that X or Now will have something useful in that and will become strong.
Yeah, X, one of those characters that can take advantage of so many different awakenings. We always say sarcastically, a weak draft for X, or try to deny X challenge, even if they're last pick, because no matter what you take, something is going to go their way. But if the momentum from Rose Petals keeps up like this, they might not get an opportunity to make it to that huge power spike, because that was a 3-0 set going over to Rose Petals, starting off this Taiko Temple game.
A lot of good picks on the draft here. Mystic, Fight or Flight, very quickly and often picked up here first, but the hat is up as well, and it will also immediately be denied. Interestingly, Average Alex doesn't end up picking Monumentalist and it elects to deny this Stagger Swagger from Striker Kai.
I'm a big fan of this pickup. So there's two aspects to this, right? There's the Monu for yourself, and then the Stagger Swagger deny. So just quickly going over the Monu, there was a change a few patches back that made it, I mean, at this point, it's been like half a year, that made it so that the now secondary no longer hit stuns. And that was the biggest frustration when paired with the Monu, right? You could be so far away, you could apply hit stun, and it would allow you to break barriers way easier, it would allow you to just win interactions for free. That interaction is no longer as free, which made Monu lose some of its value. Monu is still a phenomenal pickup, let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But it is not the same as it used to be. Oh my goodness, the 1v1 over there. Fiery getting beaten down by the drum and bass Luke. That was fun to see. But taking a look at the Stagger Swagger here, or as the NATO players call it, Huss's Hat. This is an awakening that Octavia really wants, right? It's speed and its survivability. And speed is premier, K-Bot. Speed is the thing that everyone loves, especially if you're a midfielder. So Average Alex is not upset by taking speed, especially when speed ends up getting multiplied together with all these different speed awakenings. And another KO comes out, but this time not on Fiery, but on Striker Kai taken down. And in that moment, the 3v2 or the 2v1 onto Luke was enough to get their first point for PPL.
And Mystic, the only reason why I shout out that is because I have seen the number of times that Monumentalist now, even in the past 2 weeks, takes over games. So, foregoing that, Average Alex will have to pick up something else, maybe Timeless Creator later or something that just gives a little bit extra space for this now, an extra presence in general, because basically that secondary is like, it almost feels like it's having an extra strike, right? For a now character. It makes Strike Wars incredibly difficult to lose on this pick. But regardless, still has access to that. Now we'll just have to be a little bit closer in order to get the job done here. And he is in the opposing goal box right now, trying to stuff the core through. Fiery was in position there as well, but the pressure will dissipate here, and Twisty will come up with a primary. Slice and Dice opens up the goal gates here, and now Fiery and Average Alex back in position. They'll open up the goal gates on the other side of the pitch as well. Tofu Fortress comes out, tries to shut down that side of the pitch. Not incredibly successful in doing so. And here's the energy burst. Here's the flow state from Striker Kai. Gets stunned, and that flow state immediately will dissipate. Good pass between Fiery and Average Alex, trying to keep possession here. Now Twisty just a little bit too late on that energy burst, but it doesn't matter. Comes through with the dash combination to get the core in.
Love the Zentaro tech there. So for those wondering what in the world just happened, that is Twisty utilizing the Zentaro passive to shift them upwards while still aiming downright on the actual secondary, the rush, to get an angle like that. And that was enough for them to score the point there, tying things up 1-1. But like I said, PPL finally got their first point here, so they can keep the momentum going, and they have 3 fully stacked up characters on their side. And paired that with the midfield, the Maxwell's boots, on top of the Stagger Swagger, Average Alex has so much speed and so much mobility to just get the core around the forwards of Rose Petals. So it's going to be a matter of time before X finally doesn't need to get online, but I think X is going to start getting the core a little bit more than they were in the first set. And that will probably end up leading there. My cat just jumped onto my desk. I repeat, my cat is here.
I think we all heard that come through as well, Mystic. I was like, what in the world? There's no Ivy in this game. But no, special guest appearance here in the end. Twisty stuck there with the Tofu Fortress. A lot of interesting interactions, both in real life and in game, have happened in the past about 30 seconds. But here we are. Luke will still defend this barrier. Striker Kai tries to get it up to Twisty, but the Slice and Dice comes up just shy. Looks for another pass up to keep possession here, and even still the Rose Petals are doing an excellent job of it. Not able to put it through, though. Flow state still maintained by Striker Kai now, as this one goes back to the other side. Fiery out, pops the X Maximus, tries to bully this Octavia around, still finds this barrier, and now Twisty is going to look for a play here. That passive was online, but couldn't find the solo play to get the job done. Striker Kai once again. The possession maintained from the Rose Petals at this point in particular has been quite impressive. over the course of this so far. Striker Kai just continues to lock down one of these sides of the pitch with the flow state, and now will just take it himself through with the primary. Very important set here again, Mystic, for the Rose Petals to win, to have the best chance of overcoming whatever possible awakenings that this X can pick up.
Right, and then at the same time, it is another awakening that if Striker Kai, who has been building up a lot of EXP here, gets a high prio pick, most likely with Rose Petals, if they win this set, it'll be Striker Kai who gets the MVP, giving them first opportunity for something like a peak performance or a Castellast or an Aerials or anything to help them in this moment where they are close to getting to that Octavia breaking point where Octavia can take over the game. And in the meantime, we can see the level difference between Fiery and Striker Kai, a 4-level difference, nearly a 5-level difference, twice the level of these characters essentially. Fiery isn't able to really get the ball and isn't able to participate even with fully stacked up stacks on stacks. Everyone is kind of just avoiding him. The core is going around him. They're blocking the passes. Occasionally he'll get the barrier through the use of an ultimate, but you can see how much possession Fiery ends up having. It's such a short amount of the possession compared to Twisty or Striker Kai.
Yeah, and that continues here towards the end. You know, the other thing here is that Average Alex hasn't been able to find those secondaries to get up to Fiery. Often has been preferring to use them for his own gain rather than the Brawler, which makes Fiery's job a little bit more difficult. There, we'll actually send the core away. Now center base drum comes out here, but Luke finds the angle to get it around Fiery. Tofu Fortress comes out here to stop the core, even if just for a moment there. And now beautiful angle off of that center base drum. It'll find the net. Twisty credited with the goal, and that's 2 sets up for the Rose Petals, Mystic. But here comes set 3X.
Yeah, a great shot onto the corner there, right? There's some funky stuff that you can do with that middle bongo, getting the angles, especially on that corner, sending at a perfect 90-degree angles there. It definitely something that is so hard as the goalie to predict there. And what did I say? Taking a look at this draft, the peak performance, Kai Noob's clock picked up for Striker Kai. And going back over to PPL side, a Super Surge, more of a deny. It's a really good pickup there for Average Alex as well. It adds on to damage for the secondary, and the secondary has a reduced cooldown ever since that hit stun changed as well. So a lot more damage coming through for PPL side, right? All 3 awakenings being some sort of damage awakening, and then a dash denial at the same time for Twisty, so they will not be able to get that extended Zentaro dash range that the character beloved or loves so much. But either way, I think if you're Rose Petal, you're extremely happy with just the pickup of the peak performance onto your Octavia and nothing else. So we're in set 3, K-Bot, and this is potentially the last set before PPL. X has 2 additional awakenings. This is set 3X. Will it be enough?
Well, I don't know. I mean, even in the last draft, even with the 6th pick in the draft, 1-2 punch is not a weak awakening here for X, right? Especially when you start stacking that up. Now, of course, that pressure is going to be mitigated by, like you're mentioning, the fact that Striker Kai is able to pick up that peak performance in the last draft. That little bit of extra stagger does make the difference, especially on a striker such as Octavia. Twisty doesn't quite come up with the energy burst there, while Loom and Average Alex both have theirs, as does Luke on the back line for the Rose Petals here. Possession still looks like it's trying to be maintained. Flow state from Striker Kai. Twisty rather low on stagger. There's the beat drop, but the stun comes through, preventing Striker Kai from actually scoring. Bloom still holds on the goal line here, and is going to be able to do just that. The snare drums come up just shy, but Luke tries to step forward here and actually is looking to follow up the core as well, trying to play offensively. Good denial away by Bloom and company. Here's the Oni's blade. The Tofu Fortress will be met to come out as well. Twisty potentially looking for a play again on that dribble off the side, but not successful this time. The core is picking up speed in overtime here, especially off of that center bass drum. Energy burst from Fiery will thread the needle and get it behind Luke for the open goal gate on that side of the pitch. And maybe an opportunity here, but the snare drums come out. Striker Kai does have that energy burst. The mines are being set up by Average Alex right now, but it's not enough to get the core back up to Fiery. Possession on the other side of the pitch is going to be interrupted. Bull Rush comes out, but Fiery doesn't engage with the dash as well. Now looks again for the shot, but that one goes off the post. Twisty tries to collect. Luke will send it away with the strike shot. In possession here. There's the strike shot right towards Bloom. Set it up to the top corner. The melee goalies continue to hold on both sides of the pitch. The core speed hasn't phased them quite yet, and now the Zentaro passive projectile is what scores that point.
And that was a great prediction there from Twisty, right? You're either going up or down for Maloom, and Twisty predicting correctly there on the clear to kind of pre-use that Zentaro passive and catch the core as Maloom goes for the clear onto the top side, but double barrier immediately returned back here for PPL. One thing that I want to point out though is we still have such a big EXP deficit onto Fiery, and I don't want to say this is on Fiery to solve. It's just one of those situations where, oh, a little bit of flip and dip. Average Alex walks around the core, does a full 360 lap before taking the shot in, confuses Luke, sends Luke up to the top side, and then goes for the shot once his brawler was there to help him out. But going back to the X in particular, this is just, like I said, a hard matchup for the X into the Mako, and you get so, oh my goodness, but try to minimize that hard matchup by getting a KO and try to make things in your favor here, as Average Alex is trying their best to keep the core up for Fiery, and Maloom walking up, seizing this moment of an advantageous position, one member up, walks up, drops a Tofu Fortress, and then provides the support needed to help score in that situation. And finally, Fiery getting the EXP to catch up a little bit, getting some stagger back. Although I don't think the stagger made that much of a difference here, but we can see they are able to participate more. The core is being sent up more. The KO from the Dubu comes out. The rollout coming through as we're getting more and more attempts onto the barrier and the net of Rose Petals here. But it is hard for Fiery to break through. A lot of the pressure that X has can be denied simply from drum and bass and Luke walking backwards to prevent a hit stun from coming through on X. But a good strike reset on that X Maximus will get that barrier, and now potentially an opportunity for a goal.
Oh. Well done ability usage here, but Bloom is there on the Tofu Fortress again, tries to get the pressure up, but it's just not enough yet. Doesn't matter. The bell ringer comes through, and Mystic, the X train, has arrived. Fiery put in quite the amount of work in that last one, but Bloom will be first up here. First pick of the litter in this Awakenings draft.
I'm honestly surprised that Fiery did not get MVP there. Sure, purely off the fact that they were like level 6 or 7 at the start of the draft and nearly went up three levels. It just goes to show how much Maloom was doing that point to get the first pick there. And I like what Maloom does. Opts not to draft, to just let the X and the Now get something that they prefer instead. So X is going to be going for that Superman build, the explosive entrance. You're not, unfortunately, just a draft that doesn't have too much. It's a late spark. No one has any sparks picked up already. Opts not to go for that, and instead going for the 1-2 punch explosive entrance combo paired together with that Bull Rush, and then, you know, in that moment of Bull Rush, try to use the X Maximus or the Bell Ringer there to get a little bit more damage, or just hit stun or combo or anything. And we'll see it actually is quite nice. People talk down the dash awakenings on X more as a meme than anything else, but it is something that will get value, and we should keep an eye on Fiery to see how much it affects the play.
Certainly looking to make an impact on the play here as another Bellringer comes out, but Luke continues to hold. Now finally it goes away with that secondary mine from Average Alex. Flow State is online here. Energy Burst as Striker Kai tries to keep this one in the possession of the Rose Petals, but there's the Tofu Fortress, and it sends the core right to the other side of the pitch, where Fiery will meet it and send it through.
And now this is not just set 3x, but set 4x. And what's scarier than set 4x?
Set 5x.
And let's see if we can make it over there. I mean, we have the energy economy looking really well. Average Alex has the energy burst available, trying to set up a play here. Fiery finally in positioning in a way that can hit stun Luke in that drum and bass as well, which has been helping quite a bit here. Twisty trying to find some reversal as the beat drop comes down, or being primed up. The KO comes through from Average Alex on the energy burst flip. You can see the speed coming through, and a good strike into a primary combo gets the shot onto the net.
Will be able to get it done here, and now set point for PPL. They have potential to send us to a set 5 and continue to pick up Awakenings, build that momentum, and this could be the game where they win the tournament here. Rose Petals playing with their tournament life and not the position you want to be in, with such an impressive build on Maloom. Strike shot, missile propulsion, timeless creator, all online for this Dubu, and again providing that extra offensive support at the midfield line or even further past it for the side of PPL here. And it's been that much more difficult for the Rose Petals to maintain possession that they were doing so well in some of those earlier points, thanks to a lot of that play. Twisty not able to find it on that go around. Here's the Oni's blade, but Bloom's going to find the strike away. Luke will keep up the pressure here, and now the barrier will be taken. Striker Kai almost to an energy burst here. Twisty is as well. Zofu Fortress shuts down the play on the top side. Maybe a possession maintained here. There's the rush. Good prediction for Twisty. Almost collects, but Bloom is there on the Summer Assault to keep the core in place. Average Alex finds one barrier, looks to set up the Now Mine, trying to find the second barrier, but Luke has the energy burst to dig it out.
Oh, and finally. Oh, sorry about that. But taking a look at what's happening here, Luke holding down like a masterclass on the Mako. Fiery isn't able to get it. As I say that, a nice combination of the Bell Ringer plus a strike gets it onto the final barrier here. A good dig, almost gets the KO with the Now primary. And now we're in a situation here where ultimates are being traded between the X and the Octavia. There's now drones sitting in the enemy net. It is a minefield just ever so slightly between the projectiles coming through, the strike shot from downtown. Once again, Maloom, third game in a row with that missile prop, just participating from a log sitting on the top side. The strike shot coming through. The second log comes out as well, paired with the timeless creator. It really is a minefield at this point. And now we're just looking for this opportunity to get a shot onto the net here. And oh my goodness, what a bounce off the bottom. I think that was going to go in regardless if he found the slot onto that space between Luke and the bottom edge, but that way it looks more cooler.
It certainly does. There's that set 4X Mystic, and we're about to see set 5X based on the next draft, but here is Average Alex up first, gets the cast to last, which I think actually could be even more critical than anything else, given by the fact that it's denying the Octavia and picks up the extra speed on both himself and potentially giving it over to Fiery.
Right, and then at the same time, it ends up being quite noticeable when you have the Now primaries just sitting out and taking up a lot of space there. You can kind of treat it with this much extra duration. You can treat it as a rune pillar in a sense, right? Like a one-time rune pillar that's just sitting out and blocking space. And those things make a difference. Taking a look at everything else that was drafted away here, Fiery picks up the extra special, which will help in a little bit of the offense here, as it will be able to use it a little bit more liberally, already popping it once. The second strike comes through, gets the barrier. That is Fiery with that movement speed, enhanced by the cast last. Now coming through, breaking down both barriers, and the offense is starting right away. Isn't able to get the shot onto the net here, but the pressure coming through, especially with the log and the strike shot following right behind. You can see Maloom is trying to look for this opportunity to get the Tofu Fortress down offensively as well. And now when you have the way the battle is changing and the abilities from the Dubu are being used offensively instead of defensively, you can see the light and the life in PPL come through.
Now power play opportunity here. Average Alex and Fiery both in pursuit to the goal in the open goal box. Bloom going to miss the strike. Opens up the goal gates on the other side of the pitch. Striker Kai immediately back online. Has the flow state ready and is looking for Twisty through the Tofu Fortress. The strike comes through, but Bloom is still going to be able to find a way to hold without burning the energy burst. There it is, used to bail out to Fiery. Oh, good hold by Bloom, and oh no! Luke on the other side of the pitch doesn't find it. PPL 2 points away from being tournament champions.
Yeah, down 2 sets and then making the comeback, clawing their way back. The X getting more powerful each time. And then even though we didn't talk about it as much, this Dubu has scaled to such amazing portions here. The Missile Prop Timeless Creator is one of those perfect combinations where just having the Missile Prop adds too much space in between each individual Tofu on the Tofu Fortress. Pair it up with a little bit of size and duration. Now you got this impenetrable wall. Instead, we have an onslaught coming through of abilities, creations, and everything in between.
Looks like a lot of that pressure has gone away at this point. Provides an opening for a breakaway play on the other side of the pitch. Twisty finds the energy burst, will take the barrier now. And Striker Kai has the ability here to continue going through. The beat drop will connect with Fiery, but just will knock him around for a moment. Now Twisty comes up with the play. We're tied at 1 goal apiece in set 5.
Coming through three, getting a little bit of time back, a little bit of pressure back here. Finally, it looked like it was PPL advantage for so long, but Twisty getting the point there. And now we're going through, oh my goodness, a KO from Fiery. Gets onto Average Alex there. 2v1 situation. Twisty also looking really low. Doesn't have as much survivability. Is managed to get a little bit back there, but doing a good job of keeping the core forward until Average Alex gets back in general. But we see the Tofu Fortress come out once again, and the barrier drops. Taking a look at everything coming through, Twisty has to pop the ultimate. You want to use that a little bit more offensively. At least gets one barrier there. But Maloom is doing just fine, holding down with one one barrier, a Dubu ability, and an energy burst. Oh, I was afraid that somehow that thing was going to go through and the barrier was going to fall.
That was very close to being an incredible commentator's curse. But the energy burst comes out. Bloom will find the clear. Now Average Alex maybe has an opportunity here. Cooldown should be back online for PPL to go for an all-out assault, but even still, the core finds its way to the opposite side of the pitch. Fiery with the rush, sends it towards the net, but Luke's ready for it. He has that energy burst online here as well, and Striker Kai is dropped back to play on the defensive side here. 2. Core will die out for a minute there on the top corner. Rollout log will come through, hits the center base drum, and maintains its presence in that center corner, thanks to a weird ricochet. Average Alex maybe with an opportunity here, but Striker Kai does have this flow state online, can control the presence of the midfield. Twisty has the energy burst here as well. This is certainly anyone's game here. Average Alex with the core flip. Fiery is in position and denies Luke's right there. They're on tournament point.
Yeah, and sends it right back at Luke. But when you have the power enhanced from the explosive entrance and the 1-2 punch, rather than the drum and bass just repelling it completely, you have enough speed on that core to actually send it into the drum and bass and have it get pushed past through. And we saw that happening here, giving them the advantage. Once again, Maloom dropping down the Tofu Fortress. No barriers dropped here, but we can see how hard it is to dig it out in those situations. Twisty blowing the energy burst will no longer have it for this offense. It might end up falling for it as well. But actually is so fast thanks to the fight or flight plus the fully stacked pancakes here. One barrier being traded away, no energy available on both of the brawlers of each team here, and the speed is being picked up. We can see everyone going insanely fast. Average Alex providing so much extra speed in general with the now secondary, and then Mako on the drum and bass providing it right back. And Fiery using that extended range to get the cancel onto the drum and bass here. Barrier finally falls for PPL. Goal gates open, but they are not relenting yet. The Tofu Fortress falls once again. The log is up on the top side to block it, and we're trying to see if they can get through the barrier. Drum and bass is finally down, and with that might be an opportunity to get through. Even then, Striker Kai is trying their heart out to get this shot in, and a bunch of strikes manages to get it through. While setting up the mine, wasn't able to strike it. Average Alex, unfortunately, letting the core slide through in that particular situation, and now it is tied set 5.5.
Tournament point on the line. Rose Petals playing with their life here. With a win in this goal, they're able to send us to a whole other best of 3. Certainly PPL doesn't want to let it get that far out of hand. This has been a well-fought battle in our grand final, but both barriers are going to fall and the goal gates will open up for PPL. Fiery in position. There's everything there as Average Alex comes in on the lifeline. Fiery will punch it through and Bloom joins the party. PPL defend their NASA crown and are your pick your poison champions.
And bringing it down to the final string there, Rose Petals doing their best to try to make it into the bracket reset or the grand finals reset here. But we're just 1 point away from doing so. Gave us a phenomenal series as Twisty with 7 points here. Striker Kai assisting in 3 of them, getting 2 of their own, but just slightly short. Any small decision could have been the difference maker there for Rose Petal to get 1 more win, but PPL, we saw them claw back. They were in the weakest moment in that set 3 when they were just shy of getting 3-0'd, but each successive set win made that X even stronger, and it was just getting more and more powerful, finally becoming online. We saw the level difference. It was like a 4 to 5 level difference there. It was a massive difference on the X compared to every other player in that lobby. But once we got to that set 3 and you get a few awakenings going, these things add up and allow X to scale, and especially with Average Alex providing so much support there. 443 redirects, shy of Striker Kai's 466. This was a crazy game. So much back and forth. The damage was high. The KOs were pretty frequent for the characters that were brought up, right? Fiery getting multiple KOs onto the net or getting KOs off the flip. Average Alex doing the same. For something that is a non-damaging comp, this was a pretty action-packed game.
It was an incredibly action-packed game, but I think at the end of the day, the difference maker was a lot of what Bloom ended up doing. In addition to there being, right, the set 5X and the set 5 now and all of that, right? We could say, oh, we won about that, but how about set 5 Dubu with all that extra projectile range, the extra creation awakenings that come through, able to just push all that presence forward and take care of business, keeping things forward. And that's that goal, that score line there. 2 goals, 3 assists for a goalie, and it's Dubu. It feels like we haven't seen that since Ice Skater Dubu days, Mystic. And even then, doesn't really feel like we've seen that yet. Loom was able to be much more part of the team on the offensive, especially towards the end of that, in comparison to Luke. And that was another one of those differences.
Yeah, and like you said, a great performance from everyone on PPL. A great performance from everyone on Rose Petals. But stick around. Wait, K-Buck, can you confirm? Are we doing a winner's interview?
We will be doing a winner's interview with PPL. I believe Saya will be taking over for that. So we'll hear from them in just a moment. Stick around, folks, and stick around for competitive Omega Strikers, because if this tournament tells you anything, then off-season is going to be an incredible watch all the way through the open qualifiers and the relegation series of tournaments. So make sure you're sticking around and tuning into those as they take place over the course of this spring. But Mystic, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and stick around. We've got a winner's interview with PPL up next.
Yep. See you guys.
Hello everyone, welcome to the mini post show. Here you can see the bracket on the right from me, and I have 3 members of PPL, the two of the players. One of them, just like the playoffs, isn't here, but we've come to expect that by now. And we have Liari instead, who was instrumental to the success of PPL. First of all, you won NASA, you won Pick Your Poison. I guess, what are your first thoughts?
Heck yeah. That is my first thought.
I'm so proud of my boys.
All right. Well, this format was a little bit strange, and in the group battle, actually, I do have a few questions to ask you because you actually came out of groups in second, right? Cyberswipe, having cleaner wins over the rest of the teams, took that first place spot, dragged Eternal Sovereigns with them up to the upper bracket. What were you kind of expecting? What were you kind of thinking as you were going through the group stage?
Well, we were running a secret composition, trying something out that we theory crafted at 5 a.m. Didn't go so well, as you can see. It's probably going to stay a secret. You're probably not going to be hearing from that very much. But we weren't nervous. It was fine. Honestly, it kind of worked out better that we didn't have to play Cyberswipe even earlier. So can't really complain.
Yeah, a number of teams making good runs throughout this bracket. Cyberswipe being one of them, Atlas's Gardeners being another, but the Rose Petals all the way from losers, and you were the ones to finally stop them. And having experienced playing against Rose and NASA as well, I guess. What are your thoughts on that team?
Pretty good. They're pretty good. Doxy or Striker Kai in this case, kind of a revolving door of a midfield roster there. Yeah, they're a great team for all intensive purposes. Probably also a team that could end up being a candidate for NASL in the future, I imagine. I think just an unfortunate day for playoffs and NASA for them. Honestly, everybody has their off days. We would know. Oh, we would know. We do that once or twice.
And speaking of those situations, perhaps qualifiers coming up again, right? It's a familiar time for the PP Legends. We already talked about all of this during the NASA interview. We're just repeating things. I'm gonna ask something else. Liari, since you're here, how were you and Vaughn instrumental to the success of PPL throughout NASA and throughout Pick Your Poison?
Well, we've talked about it here and there in the chats and in the group chats and all that. Fawn and I put 24 hours a day in for our boys. They were so important to us, and we just wanted to see their success. Fiery was on his hands and knees begging us to coach for them. And we just really wanted to do our best for them. And I mean, Vaughn had a 21-page dossier on Rose in this game alone. It was really crazy.
Well, seems pretty impressive as Vaughn is saying. Better question is what you two have not done. And, well, we're going to keep it a little short because the day has gone long. 2 7-hour days. And for Rose, it was an hour and a half on top of that. Wow. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
that's a lot of Omega Strikers. I'm surprised they played that well, that deep.
Yeah, bringing
Very
it all the way
impressive.
pretty close. But we're at the end of the interview, end of the stream. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to shout out at the very end?
Shout outs to Maddie for not answering his DMs. Very, very classical Maddie move. Shout outs to Bloom. We're going to put him in a straitjacket after that performance. Mental patient. And shout outs to Fiery for hardly saying anything the entire interview. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Lily Bun.
Down for that. Oh, uh-oh.
Damn.
Getting weird now.
Anyway, hey, shout out Rose Petals, like high key. They played so good, regardless of like how long they played for. It's actually
Oh my
more
God!
meant.
Happy birthday, John Fortnite.
And shout
We
out
almost
Bon
looked
Kai,
at
Like, really?
who
It's John
played
Fortnite's
some-
birthday today?
It's John
Oh, yeah,
Fortnite's
you're
birthday
right. It
today.
is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think he just sent a screenshot of him earlier being at Dave and Buster's.
You
He's
know what we
having a
could
good old
do?
day.
We haven't done this in so long. We could sing happy birthday right now.
I mean, I don't want to, but I feel obligated to now.
Yeah.
What have you done to me?
Same.
You should be obligated to. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Happy
birthday
to
you.
Please speed up.
Happy birthday
birthday
to
you.
you. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
John
dear
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Oh my God.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
We were getting zeros on the Auten's Got Talent. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All good.
I'm sorry.
Well, with that, thank you for watching, everyone. Congratulations to PPL for winning. Pick your boys in the first tournament of its kind in the entire world in any
said what?
game.
He's in chat. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, that's it. John Fortnite, you heard nothing. Goodbye.
Good.